Okay. And we are live in 3, 4, 5. So welcome back to Excel Island live stream. My name is Abatan Sheriffdeen, as you already know, and welcome back to day 82 of 100 days of code of learning to upskill myself as a data analyst using the resources on the Datacamp platform. So currently, I am on the data analyst in SQL career track on the Datacamp platform. I've been learning consistently for the past 82 days. So far, so good. I've been taking some breaks in between just to get my energy back and continue. So the goal is to finish the data analyst in SQL career track on the Datacamp platform within the next 100 days, and I'm super excited. Today is day 82 and I am currently on the last course in this career track. It has been an amazing journey so far. So this career track, which is a data analyst in SQL career track, contains 11 courses broken down into 4 chapters each. So far so good. I've been able to complete 10 courses within this career track, and I am on the last course. Yes, I'm on the last course in the career track, which is data communication concept. So let me show you what it looks like. You can see data analyst in SQL 90% complete. So after this data analyst in SQL, the goal is to start the data analyst in Power BI career track also. But before I start, I will definitely be building a couple of portfolios just to implement what I've learned and on the skills that and hold it down. I don't just want to go and start another data analytics tool when I have not practiced with enough data sets. I have a couple of data sets I have in mind, like I have the Secular database installed in my SQL already, exported in my SQL already. So I'll probably be using the Secular database. I've not decided on that yet. I also be taking the certification on the Datacamp platform. So I'll be live streaming that learning journey, that certification, the exam. I'll probably live stream it, or I need to ask the Datacamp or team if that is allowed to to do that on a live stream. So I'm on the data analyst in SQL career track, and today this is the last course in this career track, the 11th course in the career track. Wow, when I started, I never knew this day would come, but here we are. You get it? So while that is loading up, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a top rated plus freelance data analyst on the Upwork platform. So I've had major success on the platform and I became a top rated plus. And that is due to the influence of a coach, someone who has actually guided me through the freelancing space, through the freelancing journey, through my tech career journey so far. And his name is Denga DBE, and he currently has a course on called the Freelance Clients Magnet course. And this course teaches you how to become a successful freelancer. Also, actually running a successful freelancing business. So I'll leave a link to the course under the YouTube description. Do make sure to check it out. So back here you can see it contains 11 courses. The data analyst in SQL career track. It contains 11 courses, 1 project. Sorry about that. Estimated for 39 hours. And so far so good. I've actually completed all the courses in this career track. We are left with the last one, which is just a 3 hours course. And after that, we are going to build I think this is a guided project. Use joins and set theory to discover the best years for video games. I'll be adding this to one of my portfolios. Definitely be adding it to one of my portfolios. Then we have statement of accomplishments. If I go back, so let's start learning for where I stopped the last time. I'll just go back there, and continue this last course. Then we start practicing all the little queries I've mastered, put it to good use. That is the end goal. Not just learning, but actually building something with it and practicing. That is how this knowledge sticks together. Also, I'll be starting the Power BI, data analysis in Power BI or learning journey also. So you may have to, if you want to join that learning journey and you want to start learning with me from scratch, by that time I will have gotten quite a And I've gotten some few new gadgets just to make the live stream more smooth and much interesting. So do watch out. If you want to subscribe right now in the channel so you'll be the first to know whenever I go live with the data analyst in Power BI career track also. So fundamentals of storytelling. So let's do a couple of quick, see 4 chapters as usual. This is more of theoretical parts, not really practical here. So I just love to download the slides so I can follow the instructor along. Wow. I don't want to exaggerate that. I never knew I could, this day will come where I'll be finishing this whole part of the career track. Oh, cool. So let's download that real quick. Yep, that is downloaded. Let's do a couple of lessons.
Hi, my name is Adrian and I will be your guide for this course. Before we jump in, let me tell you a story. In 1986, the Challenger shuttle's fuel tank ignited and the shuttle crashed, killing the 7 astronauts on board. The culprits were 2 redundant seals in a joint that broke. NASA employees warned that flying was unsafe in the following slide, in the circle part, but the message didn't go through. This is an extreme example, but it shows how crucial results can fail to have an impact, or have a bad one, because of bad communication. Throughout the course, we will learn how to communicate results to different stakeholders using storytelling. We will also cover how to structure a report and build an oral presentation. We'll translate technical results for non-technical stakeholders, and we'll see how to structure stories to impact the decision-making process. And let's be clear right away, data storytelling is not about spinning results. It's about making them stick. And for this to work, they should be simple, like putting the message to its core, concrete, they can be described or detected by human senses, and credible, they can be put to test. In any communication strategy, there are several pieces we have to put together to create an effective story. But why are stories needed in the first place? Well, people working with data spend a lot of time collecting and processing data and modeling and evaluating results. But what about communicating insights? Even the best results could fail to have an impact if the insights are not presented appropriately. One of the main challenges is to convince change-adverse stakeholders that some things should be done differently, especially if these stakeholders are non-technical and don't feel comfortable with math or statistics. That's why telling stories with data is paramount. So what's data storytelling? It's a powerful mechanism for sharing insights supported by a compelling narrative and efficient visualizations. Why is it so powerful? Anecdotes drive people's imagination, and stories are more memorable than metrics, and they add value by giving context to the data. Thanks to that, the audience can understand the insights, so their attention is captured. Those insights facilitate the decision-making process and, in turn, drive actions and changes. Let's start with building an effective data story. 2 concepts help us build its core. The first concept, the 3-minute story, makes us think if we only had 3 minutes to tell a story, what would we focus on? The second concept, the big idea, pushes us to state our story's unique point of view in 1 sentence. These concepts help us articulate our story clearly and concisely. These elements make the story insightful, as it derives clear learnings from our analysis, explanatory because we help our audience understand the insights, and concise, giving only concrete and specific facts. To build an effective story, we should include only findings from our models or analysis that apply to the situation. Our story should be based on accurate and reliable data, leaving out all untrustworthy results. More importantly, our story should always include actionable insights, data that drives action. A good data story includes a compelling and easy to understand narrative that includes only the key points needed to drive change. Even though it is tempting to include many disconnected facts, a compelling narrative revolves around 1 central insight that takes into account our intended audience and their background, so we can clarify facts for them. Who are they? What do they need to know? Lastly, every data story follows a linear sequence, So every data point builds on each other until the conclusion is reached. However, we should be careful not to include misleading graphs. We're going to look at how all the concepts are implemented at a fictional data science consulting company named Communicat B. Let's put these concepts into practice.
These are more like data storytelling concept. So the story begins. It says, you recently started working as a data scientist at a company named Communicat B. So for your first project, you and your team need to analyze customer churn data for your cell phone company. So the goal is to predict their behavior and help develop a program to retain customers. Your team lead knows you are an expert on storytelling. She asks you to explain to the team why crafting a compelling story is important when delivering results. You write down a list of reasons to be prepared. One of the statements you wrote is false. Can you select which one it is? So it will be easier for the audience to remember an antidote on why customer churn than the correlation coefficient between customer traits. So your findings will be better aligned with change adverse stakeholder expectation. Your findings will be better aligned with change adverse stakeholder expectation. They will be most likely to implement the program to retain customers. Even if your data do not reveal a distinct customer behavior, storytelling may influence stakeholders to create the retention program. The marketing team will have a better understanding of the impact of your model. It is central since they are creating the retention program. One of them is false. This is the second option. So will have a better understanding of the impact of your model. Impact of your model. What does that mean? Findings will better align. Okay, let me go for the first one. The marketing team will have a better understanding of the impact of the model. So it's not taking out of the answer. So even if your data does not give you distinct customer behavior, storytelling may influence accurate data. It says, even if your data does not give you distinct behavior, so storytelling may influence stakeholders to create the retention program. Even if your data does not give you a distinct customer, so the data is not correct. Okay. Let's continue. It's making sense bit by bit. It says building a story. You nailed it. Your explanation of why stories are efficient when conveying insights went very well. Now, your team lead would like you to give a short presentation. You are going to explain the different steps involved in telling a story with data to the team. It will be the starting point for delivering the results of the churn project when it's ready. You know it is an important task to prepare for your talk. You look for your notes on the storytelling course you took, but realize that some parts are erased. So you need to remember the do's and don'ts of data storytelling. Which are the following statements about effective data storytelling are true and which are false? Ooh. Oh, my camera just turned over. Hold up. Yep, I'm back. So to drive change, include data from a successful retention program launched in a similar company. To create a compelling narrative, connect the most important findings to action of the retention program. To drive change, center your story around how the company profits will increase if the retention program is implemented. Present one supporting customer data points after each order so they naturally reach a conclusion. For adding value, include all customer traits analyzed to understand why customer churn. For adding value, they don't actually reach a conclusion. You need to make that conclusion for them. To be clear and concise, build one story and present it to the managers and your technical team. To create a compelling narrative, connect the most important findings to action of the retention program. To drive change, center your story around how the company's profits will increase if the retention program is implemented. So for adding value, include all customer traits analyzed to understand why customer churns. That's so. To be clear and concise, build one story and present it to the managers and your technical team. That's false because you have to have different reports. Or missing it. Present one supporting customer data point after which each understood they naturally reach a conclusion. Okay. But the findings is supposed to help them to make a conclusion. Okay. That makes sense. You can now identify the elements that make a good data story, relevant and reliable data, as well as a compelling narrative. The data has to be relevant and reliable, as well as a compelling narrative as central to storytelling. Keep going and learn to translate technical results for non-technical stakeholders. So let's give that a shot. Translating technical results for non-technical.
In the previous lesson, we talked about data storytelling. It captures the audience's attention, provides meaning and context, and helps retain insights, and therefore leads to better informed decision making. It also helps persuade change-resistant stakeholders. Now that we learn why designing a story is important, we should look into the next piece, defining how technical our audience is. We will simplify this into technical and non-technical for better understanding. But technical knowledge is a continuum, and it's up to you to assess your audience's technical proficiency. The director of analytics is likely more technical than the people ops generalist. In general, data professionals like to talk about their methods. Less technical audiences, however, typically just care about what the result is and what the implications are. For example, we may need to explain why low accuracy predictions affect the business outcome to supply chain specialists and how better data entry on their end could help. They won't care about our model or hyperparameter tuning. They will care that if data entry is improved and taken seriously, predictions will be radically better, and they will have to deal with a lot less returns and shipping problems. This requires translating results into easy-to-understand stories that can engage a non-technical audience. Stakeholders will understand our results. Telling stories with simple terms can facilitate decision-making processes and eventually drive change. There are different strategies to communicate our insights and results effectively. So let's explore them. The first thing is considering our audience. What is their background? What do they know? Understanding our audience helps us adjust our story content to each stakeholder. So instead of explaining how our model works, they should understand the impact and limitations of our predictions. How much do they need to understand for us to meet our goal? We should explain the results with enthusiasm and be aware to answer questions they may have. Explaining why we chose the variables to predict is not useful for a non-tech person. We should explain the context in which our model works. What information do they need? Our story should help the audience understand what our project is about. Listing the correlation coefficients could be overwhelming. It's better to explain the interaction between customer traits. The ADEPT technique, as recommended by Khalid Azad, can be pretty handy. We need to use analogies so the audience can relate new things they are not very comfortable with to other things they understand well already. We also need diagrams to help visualize, and the illustrative power of examples is always efficient. For instance, instead of explaining how a neural network works with forward and backward propagation, we can say it learns like a child does by getting feedback on what is right or wrong, what works and what doesn't. We also need to pay attention to our choice of word. Acronyms, for example, should be used with caution. They help communication if everyone understands them, but hurt it otherwise. At SpaceX, for example, acronyms have to be approved by Musk. It's good practice to introduce an acronym's meaning the first time it's used. Similarly, we should limit the use of jargon and instead translate the terminology into simpler and familiar terms. Including a reference guide or definitions in our report is good practice as well. Again, we should take our audience into account. The data manager might know what EDA means, but the HR specialist might not. Even if we are interested in showing the technical details, a persuasive story usually focuses on impact rather than process. If we are talking about adopting a new technology, we should focus on the impact that that technology has on the technical team's time and deliverables. Or if we are explaining how a model predicts an outcome, we should focus on the benefits, such as financial benefits. Lastly, we should be aware that not all technical details can be removed. In that case, we should make our audience comfortable, demonstrating receptiveness to questions, proactively asking if it's clear or if there are any questions after an explanation, and be prepared to explaining concepts again using different strategies. Now it's your turn to translate technical results given the situation at hand.
A non-techy story. So the exploratory data analysis on the churn project is finished. It is now time for the monthly update meeting. You will have to explain your result to the operations specialist and the program director. You are addressing a non-technical audience and want to make sure that your presentation is adapted to the audience you are addressing so that your message gets across. You write down some statements you could use to explain your work, but you believe some of them are more suitable for non-technical story, while others are too technical to include. Can you select which sentence you should use in this case? This is correctly classify the examples as more suitable either for a tech or non-tech stories. A customer that pays with credit card tends to churn less than a customer that pays with a mail check. That is like non-techy, huh? So the churn customers have subscribed for fewer months than customers that did not churn. Okay. After several iterations, the elbow method showed that I don't even need to read that too long. That is tech. Definitely tech. Churn and non-churn customers show a different probability density. Come on. We know that's little bit technical. So the ANOVA showed that payments method after churn rate, even through SCM, is very high. Definitely tech. So to understand what features add the most predictive relevance, the feature importance permutation was used. Hold up. Let's bring it here. Imagine that it rains and you have to go to an event. What factors will you consider to go or stay at home? That's how feature importance work. Okay. The clustering analysis, a model to group customers based on their similarities, show 4 types of customers to target with the program. with a clustering analysis, which is a model to group customers based on their similarities. There's one missing here. Will it be said? This should not be here. Oh, it should be there. Wow. I was doubting if this should be here. It's for non-tech. It's actually close to techie. Tech story. The clustering analysis. Okay, that's quite straightforward. Let's see. So one more. Be aware. So the meeting was a success. The program director asks you to send your results to the business specialist. You need to write a report and send it by email by the end of the week. You have never met them, so you ask for their background and goals. After you gather data, you realize you will be communicating your results to different audience. You want them to understand your results. Can you select which of the following examples are best practice to translate your results? When you send the report, anticipate any question the business team will have. Answer them thoroughly so they know you are willing to help. That is good. At the end of the report, include a page with all the terminology definitions and the acronyms you could not avoid. That's a bad practice. Explain that the predictions you made will help target specifically some customers. It will save money for the company in marketing campaigns. That's not bad. Adjust your content to include some explanation on why you chose your variables for analysis from a business perspective. I do not include analogies to explain a concept with simple terms, as it could be confusing and disengaging. Wow, I've packed all this to best practice. Okay, let's see a bad practice. This is a bad practice. You have to use analogies. Let's see. Oh, I messed it up. I just a context to include some explanation of why you choose a variable for analysis from business perspective. Okay. It says when sending a report, at the end of the report, include a page. That is a good practice, but that shouldn't be at the end of the report. Okay. For all acronym. This one should be done. You should anticipate that they will ask a question. Anticipate here, made a conviction. It's like practice. That's good. I have to read those things twice. Let's finish this chapter 1.
Well done! We've discussed data storytelling and translating results for non-technical stakeholders. Particularly, we mentioned that a strong data story has 3 elements: the data, the narrative, and the visuals. Let's focus on the narrative. After we've found relevant insights in our data, we have to find a meaningful way to present them to our target audience, using a narrative that includes only key points and helps us drive change. In other words, we need a compelling narrative or a description of connected events that organizes information to engage the audience and make them care for the results or information shared. Following a narrative structure will help. There are several narrative structures that are out of the scope of this course, but it all comes down to a structural framework guiding how we present our story. Imagine that as part of the job at Communicat B, we are presenting results to a food company. To start our data story, we should mention the background, details about what problem motivated the analysis, what changed in the previous situation that warranted an analysis, and who the analysis is focusing on. Are we analyzing data from customers, from employees, or someone else? In our case, we mentioned that opposite to management's expectations, the company's total profits have decreased in the last 3 quarters. After the problem was introduced, we should provide evidence of the factors that contributed to the problem. But we should only include relevant information and not detailed data that can overload the audience. We analyzed the data and we found that the chip sales have increased by 20%. However, sweet item sales have declined overall by 30%. We can also provide more supporting evidence and data as long as it helps explain on a deeper level the cause of the problem. So after taking a deeper look, we saw that the company's most popular chocolate has seen its sales decreased by 50%. All the evidence should lead to the climax, the moment when we introduce the central finding of our analysis. It should state clearly what could happen if nothing changes. We predicted that if the company does not make a decision, it will lose $10 million next year. Once the main finding is revealed, we should finish exploring potential solutions and opportunities by recommending a course of action to take. We need to be proactive and guide the audience through understanding what to do with our results if we want to impact the decision-making process. So according to our predictions, rebranding the chocolate and offering special discounts can achieve a 20% profit. With these steps, we created a narrative that will catch our audience's interest and is easy to follow. Running an analysis, there are several things we might look at, which will in turn drive our narrative. We can explore how a feature changes over time, or the time cycle patterns, for example. How chocolate sales are lower in summer but higher in winter. We could focus on how two things are related to each other, for example, chocolate price and the customer rating, or display similarities and differences between chocolate consumption between adults and children. Also, we can find groups in the data, such as high chocolate and high coffee consumers versus low chocolate and low coffee consumers. As we craft our narrative, we need to make sure that these data points make a relevant and relatable story. Okay, now we understand more about narrative structure, so let's put these concepts into practice.
That's true. Okay, is this a true story? You have done an amazing job explaining your exploratory data analysis on the churn projects. Now, it's time to run the model to predict customer churn. You know that you will have to craft an effective story to present these results. But you want to be prepared. So, you read your notes on how to build a compelling narrative, but you realize that one of your notes is not accurate. Which of the following statements is false? It says the compelling story is key to presenting relevant insight to your target audience in a meaningful way. Because you should shape the narrative to your target audience. Surely key points of findings is a good practice, no? But unless you have a great data groundwork to support your central insight, your findings will need a well-formed and compelling narrative to drive action change. A strong compelling narrative is key when telling stories with data. It can make a difference in the decision-making process. But remember that stories should always be based on strong and trustworthy narrative. Okay, that's the first part of the data storytelling visuals. Data, narrative, and visual. Structure to impact. So your project on customer churn is done. You analyze the data and build your model. You follow the steps for storytelling. Now it's time to structure your story to have an amazing impact at the decision-making level. You want stakeholders to follow your recommendation. You like to write things down, so you take a pen and paper and write down the different things you want to say in order on sticky notes. The window suddenly opens, throwing all of your notes on the floor. Can you organize these steps for telling a story with data that is solid enough to influence the decision makers? See, order the steps chronologically. The first step should be on the top, the last step should be on the down. That's funny. Let's start with this one. Okay. That is a good narrative. So explain with a line plot that the company usually has a churn rate of 5%, but last year the rate suddenly increased to 50%. Let's bring this one here. Okay. Next one is a very strong narrative, which is the background. I think the next one is insights. Further evidence. So, okay, using box plots, showing the percentage of churn customers with more than one dependent in their household has increased. Let's do this one here. Let's give it a shot. Ooh, I knew one was missing there. So after that, a solid background, which is a narrative, and insights, going to show the percentage of churn customers with more than one dependent in their household has increased. Add further evidence, then show a bar plot that reveals that monthly charges are the most important predictor of customer churn. That is insight 1, insight 2, then recommend. That's interesting. So a story to compare. Great job organizing your narrative structure. The next step is to think about how you will present your insight. You start reading and discover there are several ways to present data stories. You can compare your data, show correlation, cluster your data. So you are curious to know what type of data story would be a good gift for your data. You write down the central finding, your insight and supporting evidence. Can you classify your findings into the following categories? Comparison, correlation, and clustering. The number of times customers that churn stream movies is higher if they pay their monthly income. Number of times that customers number of times the customer that churns stream movies is higher if they pay their monthly charges. Is that comparison or correlation? The monthly charges decreases as the number of months a non-churning customers have subscribed or increase. Let's see, I think that there's a correlation there. There are customers with low monthly charges and low streaming time, and the customer with high monthly charges with high streaming time. This is too close to really. About 50% of the churn customers are married, while 30% of the non-churn customers have dependents. About 50%. That's like comparison though. 50% of churn customers have a pay as you go connect, while 90% of non-churn customers are in 2 years or 3 years contracts. It doesn't look like correlation, but you say 50%. Oh. Number of times a customer that churn free movie. And that will be here because I was talking about movie, yeah? Correlation. Okay, interesting. Oh, we have finished with chapter 1. We can give a review later. I guess we are moving to chapter 2, which will be starting on the next live stream, which is tomorrow. Alright, so thanks for staying to the end of the live stream. If you found value in this video, do support the channel for a cookie by hitting the subscribe button, put on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when I drop a new content about Excel or freelancing or Power BI or tech in general, and or when I go live or the next live stream starting the Power BI. But also we're going live starting the Power BI data analysis and Power BI character course. So definitely you want to subscribe right now, put on the notification bell, and don't forget to check out the freelance client magnet course by my coach Benga DBE using the link in the YouTube description. Bye, and I'll see you in the next live stream.